Welcome to the 49-Yard Dash Podcast, a podcast on your San Francisco 49ers, hosted by myself, Stephen Ellis, and joined now and weekly by my good friend, Josh Lafon, who you can also find at gbmwolverine.com, covers the Michigan Wolverines as well as you can, having a good season right now, so if you're interested, check it out. He writes good stuff. You can also find us on Twitter at 49-Yard Dash, same name as the podcast. Josh, I must ask first, how's it going, my man?
It's going good. Recently I've been hearing, hippie, hipster. I don't know the difference between either one of them. But either way, it's fun to watch them get beat up. So I'm doing pretty good.
I didn't know where that was going, and I'm honestly satisfied.
Sometimes when I start talking, I just hope the sentence can find itself along the way.
Yeah. Just start talking and see what happens, man.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, man. That's what we're gonna do in this podcast.
Hey, that's what we do every week, actually.
Sometimes we don't find it, and this week we probably won't either. So
yeah, that's right. Speaking of not finding it, man, the 49ers can't seem to find a win because it's
exactly.
We did not plan that. And
no, we didn't. That was great.
Just saying. Unfortunately, 3 straight losses this time to the Arizona Cardinals. But on the bright side, Trey Lance made his first official start in the NFL. What did you think of it? Overall, before we dive deep into it, give me a grade. Just a regular school.
A grade.
Yeah.
School grade.
ABC, pluses and minuses.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give him 8.5. I'm just kidding. I'll give him a B. Give him a B.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, I just want to mess with you on that. But no, there's some ups and downs to it.
Absolutely.
We'll get into the play specifically.
Yeah.
As we're going through the game, but the one interception he had, there's a debate to be made of whether Benjamin ran the wrong route, and it was going to be high either way, but I don't necessarily think that was 100% on Trey even then. So I thought he played decent for a guy in his first start against probably the most improved defense in the league. I thought he did. Thought he acquitted himself pretty good.
Me too. And we'll break it down. And I got some special stuff for you on that interception specifically. But let's go ahead and get started, man. I got it broken down the entire game here, man. Trey's first start. They get the ball first. And so offense on the field. And first play, the pocket breaks down. And you see that potential that Trey Lance has on the very first play because the pocket collapses on him. He steps up in the pocket, breaks loose, and it's a 14-yard scramble the very first play. That was awesome to see. It's like right off the bat, you can see why this guy, some of that.
See why he's electric.
Yeah, that's right. And the second play, he looked really comfortable, had a nice 5-step drop back, throws a little out route to Juszczyk, 16 yards. So back to back. 30 yards like that. It was great. Third play, there's the interception. So you mentioned it. I got something for you specifically on this, and I'm going to do a little screen share here.
Oh, man. I am percolating right now.
I hope you are, man. Just give me 1 second here.
I couldn't care if you were a hippie or a hipster. I'm not beating you up after this, man. This is great.
Check this out. Let's see. Is it not updated yet? Okay, there we go. I got this. Yeah. So this is the formation that they were in before the play. And
who drew this? Picasso?
Picasso did draw that and sent it to me. And I'm just using it as a basis. Man. And I'll do my best to add to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the play. Sorry, you're a Warhol special. Let's look at the play.
That's right. So you mentioned in the outset that there was a little bit of debate about it. And nobody has talked about this, which I'm glad you mentioned it. So the play was Debo comes around, motions, and he hits a wheel route. So that was that.
Yes.
And then you have Ross Dwelly in the flat. He ends up just doing just a little out route there. And then so the play, obviously, Lance drops back. Travis Benjamin runs a deep dig route.
Yeah.
So the confusion about the dig, or some might say a curl, either one is fine. The way you see it portrayed, even here, is a stopping point there and coming back
Yep.
to the ball. But in reality, how the route actually works is the receiver goes to the open spot between the zones and sits on the route right there. That's what's supposed to happen. And Travis Benjamin did that. But
And that's one thing I'll
as
mention to
yeah, go
cut you
ahead.
off, Steve. Just to clarify, you're talking about the difference between a dig and a curl. The difference is exactly what you said. You see dig routes specifically more going up against zone coverage defenses because
Mhm.
of the same reason you said. The idea is not to get a defender off his feet. You don't need to. You need to
Mhm.
get to the spot and not necessarily do a quick stop, but have the awareness to dig your feet into the ground and
Yeah,
stay where you're at. The curl
exactly.
is what you see going up against man-to-man defenses. The idea in that is the defender thinks you're running a fade or a go route,
Yes.
something vertical, and you're stopping on a dime, curling to the ball. That's the difference in that. So, like you said, it was definitely a zone play that the defense was playing, and that is a dig route. Like you said, getting to the soft spot in the defense, waiting
Mhm.
on it, because why would you come back to where the defenders are? The point of the
Yeah.
route is getting you to the hole in the defense.
You hit that soft spot and sit there and wait for your
Yeah.
quarterback.
You
But
wait
what
on
was
it. You wait on
interesting,
it.
yeah, exactly. But what was interesting is so Trey Lance does his drop back. He sits there right as he starts to wind up, right before he throws. I don't know why, but Travis Benjamin took another step or two forward. And
Yeah.
then that is when Trey Lance fired the ball. So
That's
what
potentially a
nobody
couple yards, actually.
yeah, yeah, it was. He took a couple steps forward right as
Yeah.
Trey was winding up. So you could say he maybe should have adjusted that. But I think if he just sits there, it's probably
Yeah.
still high, but it's probably catchable. That's the difference. It was a high
Well,
ball,
and
but I
some
think it's catchable if he doesn't take that random step
no, it is.
forward.
That ball is put in a spot where only his guy's going to get it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. And folks, we haven't rehearsed this at all. This is the first time I'm seeing
No.
Steve talk about the. I keep in mind we talked about this playoff air, but we're looking
Mhm.
at this live along with you guys. The one thing I'll mention is it's kind of hitting me. Who
Mhm.
is the quarterback that these guys are used to for the last 4 years, Steve?
Well,
Even Travis
Garoppolo,
Benjamin. Yeah. Does
yeah.
Garoppolo ever scramble and throw on the run, especially when running forward into the offensive line? Or on the rare instance that he does throw on the run,
Mhm.
he's kind of scrambling with the line. Which one of those two scenarios do you think Garoppolo does more? Kind of roll with his body or run into the teeth of the defense and then throw it downfield if he is going to throw on the run?
Oh,
Which one do you think?
he's not gonna run into the teeth of the
Yeah,
defense. No.
what did Trey do on the
It's,
interception? He
he ran
started
into the teeth of the
scrambling.
defense.
So what
Yeah.
do you think Travis Benjamin potentially did? One of two things is popping into my mind. Either one, he thought I better get back and block for my quarterback because he's running downfield, or two, he's scrambling. He's going to throw it to me. I need to come and help out my quarterback. It's
Mhm.
the different. It's the different philosophical. It's the differences in the philosophical whatever between these two
Yeah.
guys and their style of play, right? If Jimmy Garoppolo is behind center, that ball is going to Travis Benjamin in the dig. Different than Trey Lance is they're not used to a guy who can actually throw on the run and get the ball
Yeah.
there. So I guarantee you that's more than likely what it was.
Probably
Is
so.
either
Yeah.
he was either running back to help out or he was running back to block because they're
Mhm.
just not used to having a quarterback do that.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. No, I didn't really even. I saw that he did it, and honestly, I haven't begun to think of why he might have done that.
No,
So I
the
appreciate you
first
bringing
reason I
that
thought
up.
of
Yeah.
no for sure. First reason I thought of was he ran the wrong route, but now that you're thinking about it, on that
Mhm.
play specifically, it's kind of that Andrew Luck pass you and I used to practice growing up, where you're running forward and winding up and throwing it. That's
Yeah.
about how Trey looked throwing the pick. And if
Mhm.
you're not used to your quarterback throwing it in that instance, if Jimmy's in that same play, he's probably scrambling and hitting the ground within 3 yards. He's not going to try to make a play down the field out of it. So it's more than
Yeah,
likely what
it's not his
happened.
game.
So
Yeah.
again, not on Trey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's at least a debate up for it because
Yeah.
if Benjamin would have sat there, I think it would have been a catchable ball.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
No.
even if it
So
isn't, it's getting tipped and there's no one behind Benjamin. So it's just going to fall incomplete.
yeah. Yeah. Right. And honestly, at that moment, I'm sure a lot of people, the rookie throwing a pick on his first drive, were probably freaking out. I wasn't freaking out at that point in the game, but Arizona got the ball, and they took the ball downfield with pretty much little to no resistance. At that point, I was thinking, oh man, if the defense isn't backing them up, this might be a rough night. And that turned out not to be the case. The defense really showed out after that. But I was nervous after that first defensive drive more than even after the pick by Trey Lance. But yeah, as mentioned, Arizona took down the field. James Conner, 1-yard touchdown run at 7-0. Offense gets the ball back. They're moving the ball really nicely. And I don't know if you remember, there was a little screen pass to Elijah Mitchell where it looked like Trey was wanting to throw it, but Chandler Jones kind of sealed the edge where he could have tipped the ball. He waited a second on a screen pass and then threw. And I love that decision. He was patient.
It wasn't
on a
even
screen.
a pump.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a punt, but it was kind of like almost like a double move, like in basketball. You see Steph Curry do it a lot when he's about to pull up for a 3 in transition. He does that little head fake to make the defender think he's going to stop, and then just crosses over and shoots it. It's kind of what Trey did. It was not really a pump fake. It wasn't a true pump fake, but he did just enough of a stutter to make Jones think that he was going to throw it. And like you said, then he had the release point where you get the ball out to Mitchell right in stride.
It was right in stride, and Mitchell had a couple nice moves on that catch too.
Yeah,
it should have been about a 6-yard gain, and he made it a 15-yard gain just with a really nice couple moves, man.
He did. And then the one thing I want to mention too before we move on, I know we talked about this in the podcast. One of the differences between Trey and Jimmy, and don't get it confused, guys. This whole podcast is going to be about Trey, and we don't intend for it to be about anything else. Garoppolo throws the ball at the receiver on the screen. Trey leads them. Elite college offenses, and not even bringing up NFL, you see a lot of these guys don't even have huge cannons for an arm, but if they can lead these bubble screens in stride, that turns a 2-yard gain into a potential 20-yard gain. If the receiver can catch the ball fully in stride, fully in motion, doesn't have to stop and change direction, it can really have potential for a lot bigger of a play. And that's kind of what we saw with the Mitchell play. It really made me pretty excited to see him lead him on a screen. It seems like a simple play, but when you've got a pass that's 10 yards horizontal, a guy that you don't really know at what point he's going to curl, but you got to lead him just enough, not lead him too far as to throw a pick. You got defenders in your face. It's easier said than done. And I thought he led him perfectly on that pass. And for that matter, the rest of his screen game, the rest of the day, I know we'll get into it, but led all those guys extremely well too. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, no, I love those. He's done really well leading the screens. And that's something we've never really seen from Garoppolo. Usually the outside receivers having it's not in stride. That obviously hurts the play, but catch it slightly behind them It's
the difference between a 2nd and 5 and a 2nd and 1.
Definitely is. Totally is. Unfortunately, that same drive kind of stalled out. There was a 3rd and 7. They called. I wasn't sure about this, and a lot of people have had complaints about this or last week's play calling. 2 straight quarterback draws. He got 5 yards on 3rd and 7. Then it's 4th and 2, and they do the exact same thing, and he gets 1 yard. I didn't love. It was really predictable to me. I don't mind going for it on 4th and 2, honestly, but when you just did a quarterback draw and you just do the same thing.
Well, so 2 things. People talk about going for it on 4th down like it's Ebola. Like it's the Delta variant. In reality, okay, what are you doing? You're going for it at the 50. You're going for it from the 40 on either side. As long as your defense gets a stop, they're punting the ball right back to you. You're not necessarily, there's no indications that if you go for the ball, if you go for it on 4th down, whatever, 4th and a few yards, as long as they're outside of their potential field goal range, there's no indication statistically that they're guaranteed points. There's not. It's a misconception. And more often than not, what happens is then they either go for it on 4th down and you get the ball back because they're kind of in a compromised field position, or they just punt it right back to you. So I didn't mind going for it. But like you said, the play calling was atrocious on that 4th down play. Did not love that.
No.
at least give Trey an option to give it to somebody, either a
Yeah.
read or even like a power. If you're going to run it with a quarterback, um, run power or something. McGlinchey had a horrible day, but at least he can
Yeah.
run block for somewhat. So maybe even just run to his side if that's what you're determined to do. But did not love the quarterback draw, man.
No.
With 2
Not
yards to
two in
go
a
into.
row. Yeah.
No, you could have got
Yeah.
the bush push, getting juice behind him and just, get him forward for the first down. You didn't need to do a draw in that instance.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love that one at all. So obviously, the defense kind of let up on the first drive, and then the offense kind of gives them good field position. So at this point, I was nervous. The previous
Yeah.
drive, Arizona went down the field like it was nothing. I'm thinking, man, it's about to be 14 zip, and Trey Lance is gonna have quite the hole to get out of. But first down, DJ Jones chases down Kyler Murray for a negative 14-yard sack on first down. That was awesome.
It was great. It was great to see the D line. It's like I think back to the days playing college NCAA football 14. You're blitzing the linebackers, but you're putting the D line in containment. So you're trapping the quarterback. He's got nowhere to go. That's kind
Yeah.
of what that play was. The interior of the line got home with DJ Jones. The ends held their responsibility, and Murray had nowhere to go. So
Hmm.
I thought, obviously on that play, but specifically throughout the whole day, they did a pretty good job of containing him. About the best you can do.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, no, they played a good game, and we'll get into it more. But the defense, again, this is not on them. Just like I don't think the Seattle game was on them.
Yep.
So after that, the Cardinals can't recover because at that point it was 2nd and 24, and they couldn't recover.
Yeah.
Had to punt the ball. They punt to the San Francisco 4, I believe. So they're having to start from the 4-yard line. That's tough. Again, a tough spot for Trey. And he's actually pressured in the end zone. And I kind of had a brief panic moment, but he escaped and made an 11-yard rush out of it. That's, to me, that right there is the biggest difference. If that's Garoppolo there, it's 2 points for Arizona and the
It
ball.
is, man.
It
It
is.
is. And in our game reviews, I try, folks, to not jump the gun too much, but there's so many small microcosms during these games that leads to the bigger picture, right? We've talked about the
Mm-hmm.
defensive struggles, and we'll get to one in particular here shortly. But with Trey, just the simple fact of, okay, the biggest struggle right now with Trent Williams out, Alex Mack over the hill, and McGlinchey looking like one of the worst picks potentially
Yeah.
in the Shanahan era. You don't have a stout offensive line, or at least as stout as you thought it was. So having a quarterback who can escape pressure like that is so vital, especially in those instances, being able to get out and make something out of nothing, especially when you're backed up against your own end zone like that.
Yep.
Huge deal, man. Huge deal.
Oh, yeah. Totally agree. And this ended up being a 93-yard drive. And this right here, you could really see the potential in the 49ers offense on this drive.
Yeah.
Because right after that, 2 straight 9-yard runs for Elijah Mitchell, that 26-yarder to Debo. Right after that, there's that horrible drop on the slant route by Debo where
Yep.
Trey Lance hit him right in the chest, and for some reason, on a slant route, for some reason he just dropped it. And it also had that throw to IU. You know what I'm talking about.
It was beautiful, man. That was in a spot where, they say as a quarterback, put the ball in a spot where only your guy can get it. I don't even know if that ball could have been put anywhere else other than that, where
No.
only his guy could have got it. I
No.
mean, not only did IU make a heck of a play, but that was one of the best throws I've seen this season out of any quarterback. I mean, that was the only place. That was the the needle through the eye of a camel, as they say.
Yeah, it was
trying to thread a needle through the eye of the camel. It was such a tight window throw. I mean, that if that was a couple inches off, it was an incompletion. That was just a perfect throw.
It was perfect and fantastic. It was on 3rd down too. They threw that
Clutch completion.
It was fantastic. After that, again, you can see the difference that the run game makes when Trey is there. He had 2 7-yarders. Mitchell had a 14-yarder. Now it's 1st and goal. They tried to throw a screen pass to Debo, but it was kind of similar to that one earlier to Mitchell, but they sealed the edge. And this time it wasn't really available, and Trey had to throw it kind of behind Debo, and Debo dropped it. It was catchable, but not a perfect. He wasn't able to lead him on that because Chandler Jones was right there.
And honestly, didn't love that play call.
Yeah.
When you've got 11 defenders compressed into a 5 to 10 yard area when you're in a goal to go setting, I'm not sure the screen play is your best option, because how much misdirection can you do on that? There's a lot of play action stuff you could do to potentially fade out a guy. See that? I saw that a lot this past weekend in college football, watching those games where the tight end leaks out, to the boundary. All the actions go on the other side of the field. That would have been a better call, but a deliberate screen pass when everybody knows it's there because the whole offensive line's going there. The entire linebackers, defensive line, and backfield are compressed in this small area. Didn't love that play call. And honestly, it was probably for the best Debo dropped it, because that play would have gotten blown up.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, man. After that, the quarterback draw. He runs 4 yards, so they're at the 1 yard line now. 3rd and goal, they did do a little play action, boot action type deal, and there was nothing available, and Trey Lance threw it out of bounds. There's nothing there.
Smart play, but there's nothing there.
Yeah, and then 4th and goal, he was stopped a hair short. What are you gonna do?
No, it's the same play you saw him run in the FCS championship game a couple years ago when he was at North Dakota State. The only difference is he was bowling over FCS defenders, and this time around he did lower his shoulder, and you love to see it. But he wasn't getting in that end zone. One thing I'll mention on that drive in particular, before we move on to the later on in the game, you see right then and there, I even texted you this, how much Trey puts the defense in conflict. When you have a statue back there in Garoppolo, they can crash everybody and literally make them beat them through the air. You can't do that with a mobile quarterback because he'll just keep it. You can blow up as many runs as you want. Eventually, the offense, if they've got any sort of thinking ability, will put the quarterback in the run game. That's exactly what you saw. You talked about Trey's run on the first play of that drive, getting out of the end zone. Immediately the next play, Elijah Mitchell rips off a big run. Why? Because they know specifically we can't go after the running back and just stack the box. Quarterback will keep it. So it just opens everything up. You don't even have to be a passer. Seen the Ravens do the same thing. Just putting the defense in conflict where they have to pick one or the other. Eventually it works out where you start ripping off some plays.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And the only thing I'll say about the 4th and goal, I didn't mind the play call, going for it again.
Yeah.
And honestly, going for it on 4th down 5 times, I know they only converted once, but to me, it showed trust in a rookie quarterback, which I like to see.
Yeah, and I guess I'll disagree with you there. I'd almost wager it maybe not trusting Wisnowski as much, or not Wisnowski, but the kicking game rather. Getting a guy in off the street. I think that's more so an instance of that. There were some times throughout the game, I don't want to give away too much, where it almost seemed like Kyle was still calling a Jimmy-esque game plan, but I almost think it's more so, well, I like Trey better than this walk-on kicker, basically.
I see.
Guy who just cleared medical. But, I didn't mind the play call. I didn't mind going for it on 4th. Could there have been a better play call? Maybe some more misdirection, potentially. But I think if you run that play 9 more times, he's going to get it more often than he's not.
Yeah. The only thing that I think he could have done is, so he lowered his shoulder and took a lot of contact. He actually hurt Isaiah Simmons on the play, but I think if you're going to take some contact, why not try to hop over the defenders instead of put a shoulder in them?
I don't necessarily mind putting the shoulder into him. I would have liked to see him turn it upfield instead of going for the pylon. There was a couple times as he was rounding that corner where if he just turned it upfield, he still could have lowered their shoulder. And if he missed it, it would have been in a similar spot. But you're only going through one defender, not 2. And it's not right on the pylon where you're getting the full brunt of his momentum. you're
Yeah.
getting your full momentum by turning it upfield. So that's the only thing, is if he had just been able to take a different approach to the end zone. But
That's understandable too. Yeah.
but didn't mind the play call, didn't mind his decision. Just one of those. If you do it 9 more times, he's going to get it at least 5 or 6 times out of 10. I bet.
Yeah. No, I agree. By the way, the referee gave him a really crappy spot on that too, because on that
insane.
replay, it looked like he was 2 or 3 inches short, and they put him down right at the 1. It's crazy. But
it was a horrible spot. Those refs could have called a better game for sure, but I digress.
Yeah. So Cardinals get the ball back, of course, and man, they were so close to getting a safety. Oh man, Armstead was totally held on that play.
100%.
He had Kyler super close. And of course, right after that, Norman just gets destroyed by Hopkins. It's a pass interference that Hopkins catches anyways. He was just, I don't know why he was on Hopkins.
That's the play I was alluding to earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
Mention it. I thought throughout this game, I thought Emmanuel Mosley really acquitted himself really well. I don't understand why they didn't. If you're going to run quarters and cover 3, which is what they did a good bit in that game, a zone defense. Not sure why you don't put Mosley on Hopkins' side of the field consistently. Didn't make a lot of sense to me, but that was a heck of a catch, and it was an instance where you got a over the hill veteran cornerback because you have no depth. Man, he got mossed, and he got a handful of jersey too. So
he did.
It was rough.
Oh man! On that same drive was that I got to give it to him. Amazing throw and catch from Kyler to Rondale Moore. Toe tap out of bounds. I mean, it was fantastic, man.
Heck of a play.
Unfortunately, the defense was at least able to hold them to a field goal. So at this point, it's 10-0. All right. So the offense gets the ball back, of course. It was a 3-and-out. But on 3rd and 11, another time where Trey Lance on a deep post route, perfect ball placement to Sanu, who just drops it. I mean,
receivers haven't helped out either one of these quarterbacks this year with drops, man. It's been brutal. Even from the stars, from Debo to Ayuk, you got to think, well, what put Ayuk in the doghouse? Well, maybe his work ethic, maybe showing up out of condition, overweight. But more than likely it was these drops, because we've seen him have some drops the first couple of games. Debo too, now Sanu. It's been rough, man. This wide receiving corp and even tight ends, including Kittle, they've had some issues holding on to the ball.
Yeah, no, it really has been brutal. So after that drop, of course, they had to punt the ball. The Cardinals got the ball down to the San Francisco 31, but they had a false start, and then Nick Bosa with the 15-yard sack forced them to try a 61-yard field goal to end the half, and Matt Prater missed it. But yeah, that sack was awesome. He chased it right down, and Kyler tried to turn the corner the opposite direction, and Bosa he got him, tackled him low. It was great.
Yeah. Surprised Prater didn't make that kick. He's infamous for ripping some smelling salts out before taking these long kicks. I'm sure he got a good hit, and he still missed. So always makes you nervous when that dude with the bowling ball belly goes up to attempt that dude. I mean,
True that, man.
If they run out of pins at the lane, I mean, he could fill in for one of them. I guarantee you. He's got that stature, man.
So that's awesome.
He's got that.
Well, they didn't have a timeout either, so they had to rush and barely even got it off. I was surprised that they even got it off. But
yeah,
it was crazy, man. Let's see. Okay. Start the second half. The 49ers have the ball. There were 3 holding calls on this one drive. So Trey Lance had to deal with 2 1st and 20s, and then there was a 3rd and 7. Another holding, he had to do a 3rd and 17. I mean, if your offensive line is doing that, and it, by the way, it was McGlinchey twice, but if your offensive
Yeah,
line is doing
I'm about
that,
to mention that.
you're setting your quarterback up for failure, man.
Now, and the trying to think back to specifically those two holding plays, but the one thing I'll mention, I heard it on God, what show was I listening to? I digress. But anyway, it was a former NFL guy talking about how to block for Trey Lance. Well, it was Better
Mm-hmm.
Rivals. That's exactly what it was. And they were quoting a guy, an NFL mind, who had been talking about this thing about how to block for Trey Lance. And the difference is when you have a statuesque quarterback like Garoppolo's going to hang in the pocket, not go anywhere. Well, you know that when the defender turns and looks away from the quarterback, that there's a play happening. So you're going to go block for the oncoming play. The difference with Trey Lance is when the defender changes his eyes from looking this way to this way, he's not necessarily looking at the wide receiver who just got the ball. He's looking at the quarterback running around the corner. So that same block you would have made on a wide receiver, running back, or tight end or whatever, that wouldn't have been a hold because your position is now a hold because of the angle the defender's taking to try to get this mobile quarterback. So that's something that they're not used to a ton, is how to block for a mobile quarterback. Obviously, as the year goes on, hopefully they get more adjusted to it. But rough game for McGlinchey either way.
Yeah,
he has really, really taken a step back, especially in a year. I believe it's a contract year for him too. Especially in a year when it was talked up so much how great he was going to be in pass pro, which was his biggest issue. He's really fallen off the cliff in the run game, which was his only strength in pass pro. He definitely hasn't gotten any better. So
no, he's had a really rough year. But it's true that the angles blocking for quarterback with wheels is just different. But man,
it's different.
That many holding plays. They had they had 9 flags against them. 7 of them were by the offensive line, 6 being holding, 1 false start.
Well, and
That's
so
just
here's
too
the
many.
thing. No, it's too many. And here's the thing with McGlinchey. The first one, I'll give it to him. He's a slower guy. He's built for the run. He sees the defender's eyes turn and he goes, okay, I've got to swing out and block this guy because we've got a guy coming right behind me that's run down the field. What he's not thinking is Trey Lance is turning the ball upfield. I've got to move my position to create the angle for Trey and not get a hold. I can give him that one time. I can give another guy that one time. What I can't do is give out 5 more of them. Several more to McGlinchey, and then 7 more to the rest of the line. Let's get it right, guys. One false start with a different cadence, 1 or 2 holdings because you're not used to a guy scrambling. I can be okay with that. That's
7
pains. 7 of them. 7 of them. I can't, man. It's what are we doing here?
It's really hard to succeed as a quarterback when you got 7 holding plays against you.
You can't justify it.
Yeah, it's horrible. Despite that, I thought Trey had a pretty good day. But on that same drive, I don't know if you saw, there was a 3rd and 9 before that 3rd and 17 where Juszczyk ran a little out route and Trey Lance tossed it to him with nice touch. Dude, did you see him hurdle that dude? Juice hurdled that man. It was awesome.
Freaking Juice, man.
He's
the juice is loose. The juice is loose, and we're not talking about OJ.
That's amazing. Oh, that was awesome. That was one of my favorite plays. They also went for it on 4th and down on that drive, and that was the one time they converted. It was an out route to Sanu, and he actually caught the ball. That was nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. After that, so the offensive line pretty much destroyed that drive. The defense forced a 3 and out after that. The next drive, let's see. The first 2 plays, McGlinchey false start, McGlinchey holding.
Can't have it, man. Like we said, we can give you one of them.
Yeah.
Can't keep doing this, man. It's at this point, he was supposed to be the 2nd best offensive lineman this year, even over Tomlinson. Only behind Williams. And he is looking I'm not even going to say looking like he is a liability out there at this point. He's not giving you anything in the pass pro. His cadence is off, and he can't run block worth the crap, which is supposed to be his calling card.
Well, he is giving you a lot of pass protection, a lot of negative yards.
I was wondering where you're going with that. Like, man, maybe there's something I missed. Maybe I got the wrong McGlinchey confused. Maybe it's McGlicky or something. I don't know. But no, he's had such a rough year, man. And
Yeah.
not to take it broad picture, like you say, folks, there's so many microcosms that feed into the big picture. But man, McGlinchey at 9 over some of the names we listed off last week in that episode.
Yeah.
Man,
That's
that's
rough. It
looking
hurts.
to the point where it's up there with Solomon Thomas over Mahomes and Watson, man. You just really regret that pick, especially considering what you're getting. You can probably get similar production out of your rookie Jalen Moore right now. I wouldn't be shocked. So
Yeah, I know. I think that's definitely, they have to at least be talking about that. Fortunately, they actually still managed to overcome that, and they scored on this drive. And it was the Debo with the 13-yard run, 10-7 at this point. So shockingly, they were actually surprised. They were actually able to overcome that.
yeah.
And then the defense was able to stop Arizona on the next one. Offense gets the ball back. Let's see. Okay, yeah. After a couple plays that didn't really go anywhere, there's a 3rd and 7. Trey Lance had a 15-yard run after evading a blitz off the edge, and that was nice. He stepped up, stepped to the right, or stepped to the left. He ran 15 yards and then went out of bounds. It was awesome.
If he stepped to the right, McGlinchey would have gotten called for a hold. So we're thankful he went over left guard on that one.
So true. So true. But you couldn't escape it because the next play was hold.
Who was it on this time, Steve?
Forgot to write it down, actually.
We'll just say
shockingly, yeah. Honestly, as crazy as it is, it might have been on Trent Williams that time around, but because he had 1 on the game, so I don't remember when it was at. But,
well, we're not going to give Trent any grief. He's the only guy holding this offensive line together, so we'll say it's on McGlinchey.
Yeah, that works for me. It works for me. After that, has to try to overcome another 1st and 20. Putting your quarterback in a horrible position, and then they got into a 3rd and 14, and he threw a 13-yard pass to Ross Dwelly. So it's 4th and 1. This is another one going for it on 4th. I wasn't really sure about because it was a fullback sneak. The play's fine, but they did the same thing against Green Bay. So once they showed that formation, I thought it was super obvious.
Yeah, it's super obvious even if you don't show the formation.
Yeah, if he's catching the snap,
Juice isn't going to throw it, man, and it's the dumbest thing. We talked about it with the Trey draw. With this, I saw Michigan do it on the road against Nebraska multiple times this past weekend. I saw Alabama pass up on doing it against Texas A&M and a loss for them this past weekend. And what the point I'm getting to is when you have a quarterback, you sneak the freaking quarterback. There's no other play call. I don't care if you got Jerome Bettis in the backfield. You know what you do? Get Jerome Bettis behind the quarterback and you push him for a 1st down. What you do not do is pull this crap out when you have a 6'3", 6'4" quarterback who's the size of a freaking strong safety out there.
Yeah.
And put him on the bench to let a fullback sneak it when they know what's going to happen. Put the quarterback under center. Yeah. Get some offensive line behind them. Put in a couple extra tight ends. I don't care what you do. All you got to do is fall forward for the 1st down.
Yeah.
Michigan nearly threw away the game in Nebraska this past week, not doing that. Alabama, part of the reason they lost to Texas A&M, the times that they did go 4 on 4th, they're getting cute with it. Don't get cute with it. You don't need to do anything else other than quarterback sneak. How many times have we seen Tom Brady in New England just fall forward for a 1st down? There was one game in particular, he had almost 20 rush yards, and it was just all on sneaks. It was short yardage plays that he just snuck and then fell forward for a couple extra yards. Yeah. Almost 20 rushing yards doing that throughout the game.
Even Garoppolo was good at quarterback sneaking.
You don't have to. You don't have to be good at quarterback sneaking. What you do is you catch the ball on a snap under center, and then you let the guys behind you push you forward, and you just keep turning your feet. That's all you have to do.
I feel like there's a little something to it, though. You don't think
there's nothing to it? There's nothing to it. As long as you can get the snap and you just start moving your feet, the offensive line will drag you forward. I can't tell you how many times I've seen offensive linemen grab the runner and pull them forward when they've been on the bottom of the pile. That's all you do in that instance. That is the 1 4th down play that irks me more than anything else Shanahan
It
called
was my
all.
least favorite play, fourth down play too. I just didn't like it at all. Even worse
No, it
than
was a
the double
horrible one.
quarterback draw early in the game. I didn't like this at all.
You don't get cute with it. All you need in that instance is leverage.
Yeah.
The line doesn't need to even block for a long time. They just need to get enough leverage for the quarterback to fall forward. You check behind Trey. Heck, even put Elijah Moore or Sherman behind him or Dwelly in an I formation. Just push him forward.
No, that's true. I didn't like that one at all. Fortunately, right after that, the defense stepped up. Deontay Johnson forced a fumble, which I forgot he was on the team for a little. No, I didn't actually, but we just haven't seen really any of them. And then he comes
No,
in
you
and it's
never
a
have to
huge
worry
play.
about him. You never have to worry about him being on the team. He will be a 49er until the day he dies. I'm almost positive. He is literally on every hot seat list or hot seat candidates for making the team. Who's going to get cut? Here's 5 names. Their stocks up. Here's 5 names. Stock down. He is always the 5th name on stock down.
Yeah.
He is always the guy who's about to get cut.
Yep.
And he makes the team every year.
And it never happens. It's true. Oh man. But the offense gets the ball back. And in 4 plays. Let's see. First down was tipped at the line. Second down was a Trey Lance 6-yard rush. Third down, a slant route to Ayuk. And this is going to happen. He missed him. He was way high on it. And when he's been inaccurate, that's been what it is usually, is he's high. He was way high on a slant route. He kind of lost it. It was a bad throw on third down.
One thing I want to mention before we move on, you talked about was it 2 plays before that or the last play where the ball got tipped?
It was first down that the ball got tipped.
Okay. One area of concern with Trey right now, if you are looking for one, is the amount of balls that are getting tipped. He's the biggest quarterback in the NFC West, and he's got the most tips at the line of scrimmage. So definitely an issue as far as with his mechanics, where he's releasing the ball at. There's no reason whatsoever his ball should be getting tipped that much. Kyler Murray has issues with tips. Drew Brees has had issues with tips during his playing career. The reason, those guys are under 6 foot.
Yeah.
Trey's the biggest quarterback in NFC West, one of the bigger quarterbacks in the NFL. You don't see Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, even Justin Fields getting their balls tipped. Pause. So it's an issue he's got to work on to prevent ball tippage. He's got to work on it. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing funny about that. So we're just going to move on.
Yeah. Moving on. And unfortunately, we can't move on because fourth down, the ball was tipped again. That's such an odd thing. So you think it is something with his release? I don't think he has a very slow windup.
No, it's where he sidearmed it. His short yardage delivery is completely different than his deep ball delivery, which is why he was such an elite deep ball thrower in college. His mechanics are completely fluid when he's just airing it out. He's not thinking about it. I do think what it is it's just mental. He's overthinking the whole process, and that's what's leading him to a lower delivery.
When he's trying to laser it, he becomes more of a sidearm thrower. You think laser it short?
I don't think necessarily that. I think it comes naturally to him when he's airing the ball out downfield, and he's just letting it rip, and the mechanics are fluid. In a short yardage situation, you think about it more. Like I think about the times even we've played backyard football or flag football or whatever. When I've got a guy in a go route, I'm not thinking about, I need to place it this far in front of him. It's just see it and hit it. I'm just knowing I need to put it out in front of him. I'm not thinking about my mechanics. On a slant route to somebody like you who's quick, I'm thinking, okay, I need to hit him in stride. I need to put the ball in this area to where it's in his hands. And it's a completely different mental process. I think that's why you're seeing some of the stuff like that is he's just not natural with that quite yet. It's definitely more of a struggle for him. And that's why you're seeing a lower delivery on it. Not quite a Mahomes Stafford sidearm, but where he's releasing at the point of release, it's below eye level almost.
Well, that'll be interesting. And that's something that obviously the coaching staff will get with him about. I don't think it's going to be a long-term issue.
No, it won't because, and the reason you know that is he's already got the proper mechanics on the deep ball stuff. If you want to put in layman's terms, guys, he's throwing the ball how he should on deep passes, and on the underneath stuff, the stuff he's having to think about, he's not releasing the ball like he's 6'4", he's releasing it like he's 5'11", and that's
Yeah.
why the ball is getting tipped.
Yeah. They'll work with him about it, and they'll figure it out. But like I say, that was on a 4th down that it was tipped there. On the last one, it was J.J. Watt who got that one. Followed by that, he threw that bomb to DeAndre Hopkins. Jimmy Ward somehow got stuck covering DeAndre Hopkins, which shouldn't happen, and he over pursued. I mean, that's not his job. That's a tough thing to do, is to turn around with the receiver like DeAndre Hopkins contest. People are killing Jimmy Ward with that. For that, I don't think he should be getting filled for it.
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I do. Mm-hmm. He was trying to make a play on the ball, and that's the last thing you should do against DeAndre Hopkins. Your first goal should be playing defense, and I think he misjudged the ball and thought it was coming right to him. He looked like a center fielder with a pop fly to, shallow center, where he's just waiting on it all day. Yeah. And that wasn't at all what that pass was. He needed to play that route till its completion, and I think he just underestimated the velocity on it, made a bad play on the ball, thinking he could make something happen. So, like I said, it's probably somewhere between, like you said, don't kill the guy over it, because he shouldn't have been on him in the first place. But 2, when you're in that position, man, if you're out of place, why are you thinking about doing anything other than the responsibility you should have? I just think he saw the ball and thought, man, I can get that. And then it was coming. Oh, crap.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah. But, broken coverage led to him. It was a bomb. And then the next play, throws it to Hopkins again, and the left side of the end zone, and touchdown.
Yeah.
At that point, it's 17-7, and only, I think, 4 minutes left. So 2-possession game, 4 minutes left. See what Trey Lance does, and he actually had a pretty solid drive, I thought. First down, he threw a fantastic ball to Debo on the run. Debo was running an outside post, and he threw it high when Debo was covered, where just Debo could get it. It was a really nice pass. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Followed. Go ahead.
No, it just kind of feeds into the bigger point. His average depth of target was 10 yards that game. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it is for an NFL quarterback. Jimmy's is typically under 5. So what you're seeing is the ball getting stretched down the field with Trey. And especially in that instance, not only was it good ball position, but it was the right pass at the right time.
I've seen a lot of people say that, kind of knocking the 49ers for this past week, saying they weren't throwing the ball downfield. I think people are getting that totally confused with they weren't throwing go routes, but they were still throwing the ball down the field. It just wasn't 4 verticals.
The same people that call a spread offense, and they think a spread offense is an air raid, Oregon style offense.
Yeah.
A spread offense is what it's what the 49ers run. It's just what people think of. It's from shotgun is what they're thinking it is. The concept of a spread is it's what it sounds like, putting 4 guys out wide with a running back. Not just going up tempo and doing all crazy 2008 Chip Kelly Oregon stuff. Same thing with this vertical passing game. Yeah. Okay, well, we don't have Julio Jones and AJ Brown to throw go routes to all day. So we got to get creative with the deep shots we do take, which is why they ran a deep post and not just a vertical go route.
Exactly.
The strength of the Cardinals defense.
No, I thought the same thing. I just want to clear up that, I think, misconception right now.
There's a lot of couch quarterbacks. We're 2 of them, but at least we know what we're talking about.
Most of the time. Some of the time.
Yeah. I tell you who doesn't know is McGlinchey. But go ahead.
Hey, good God. He doesn't know anything. But, following play, first down, he threw a perfect out route. I think the out route is Trey Lance's best throw, in my opinion. He is just a straight 5-yard cut left to right, whatever side of the field you're on.
Saw it with the IU.
Man, he is so good. It was to Sanu, and he just perfectly in stride where Sanu could run after the catch down the sideline and end up being like a 15 or 14-yard gain. It was just
one quick thing on the out route. I'll be brief. I know I'm rambling. There's a difference between a guy who can deliver the football with accuracy and a guy who can deliver it with accuracy and velocity. The same thing with the screen game, the difference between Trey and Jimmy. Trey hitting him in stride, Jimmy not. These 5-yard out routes, they've been available Jimmy's entire playing career. Why couldn't he take it? Because he doesn't have the velocity to get it there. Trey does have the velocity to get it there.
Yeah.
That's how you can make tight window throws. When the ball's hanging in the air too long, you can't make them. The fact that Trey can get it there, and he's doing it, he's taking advantage of those passes. Like you said, I think that's his bread and butter. But the reason he's making those passes is because he has the velocity to get it there, and Jimmy doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, no, it's good. He does. He can laser those in there, man. He's great at them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Second and third, he tried to throw. This is one of the few times they actually went vertical, like people are talking about. It didn't really go anywhere. Threw it to Debo. There's really nothing there. It kind of sailed out of bounds. I don't think it was a great throw, to be honest. But in 3rd and 3, he got hit as he threw. That wasn't on him. There was pretty much an unblocked guy that came straight to him. And yeah, it was on the right side of the field. So I think it was.
No, I know it was. That's why.
Yeah.
I wasn't joking that time. That really was McGlinchey.
Yeah, it was on his side. They make a field goal at 17-10. Arizona drained the clock. They didn't have the ball back. So that was the score, 17-10. Trey Lance's first start. Had a few, you might say, downs, but for the most part, the ball moved. They moved the ball.
They did, man. They moved the ball on a team that, like we said at the outset, is supposed to have the best, the most improved defense in potentially the league this year. Team who's supposed to, who's been hanging points on everybody. I believe the lowest point output they had this year. Feel free to correct me. I think it was 31 points before this week.
Wow.
So you almost cut that in half against a team that's really depleted. So thought the defense really acquitted themselves very well and put the team in a position to win. And the offense did drive the ball down the field. They took care of their job as well. Just didn't get the points on the board.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I did a little bit of research on my own. And so Jimmy Garoppolo so far, I was just curious because especially against like Seattle, there's just so many nothing drives. I wanted to see how many net yards per drive these guys are averaging. And in what would you say is Jimmy's best game so far outside of the Detroit game? Because I think the Green Bay game easily.
Yeah, I would say honestly, I don't.
He wasn't good against Philly.
I don't think he was good against Detroit. I think he just was taking advantage of good play calling and wide open guys. I'd say Green Bay.
Yeah, I thought
he was money that game.
So that's what I thought. He had a pretty solid game. They averaged 37.4 net yards per drive.
Okay. About half the field.
Last week against Seattle, he really had 2 good drives. The rest of it was pretty awful. And it was 28.6 net yards per drive. Lord. So it was a lot lower. Trey today with 7 holding penalties and 2 critical drops on 3rd and longs was 34.2. Just slightly behind Jimmy and Green Bay, which was his best game. So my question is, and again, that was with holding calls and drops. And I know, obviously, the supporting cast doesn't play perfect with Jimmy, but I thought it was especially bad as far as penalties and drops with Trey today. If the output that you're getting between the 2 guys is close, how do you not ride with the rookie?
I don't know at this point how you take the reins back from Trey. I don't. To me, that's a fireable offense. Is whether or not Trey got in there because of injury or for whatever reason. You can't give him the job and then take it back from him. That's a confidence killer. What that tells the rookie is, I didn't do enough to win the job against a guy who hasn't consistently delivered for his team. Right now Jimmy is probably a better all-around passer than Trey, but just like we talked about, at the Trey's base level where he's at right now, a game where the offense only put up 10 points, his yards per drive was similar to what Jimmy was giving them in Jimmy's best game this year.
Yeah.
And the reason why the Niners didn't put up as many points on Arizona as they did on Green Bay is because they didn't capitalize on scoring plays, the fourth
Yes.
down plays.
Mhm.
So, Jimmy might be just a little bit better as an all-around passer right now, but just the ability Trey gives you to stretch the ball downfield, the conflict he puts the defense in the run
Exactly.
game, it opens everything up, man. That's why they had that. And it wasn't a great offensive game, which is funny. We think about the Green Bay game being a great offensive game. Well, looking at the numbers, it really wasn't. About the same as this.
Mhm.
The difference is they just didn't take advantage of the points, and I don't necessarily think that was a Trey thing.
The
So
difference, a big difference in the Green Bay game was surprisingly Trent Cannon had a good day, and he had a really good return
yeah,
that gave him a 31-yard touchdown drive. And they actually had good field position for a lot of that game. This game, they did not.
yeah,
So just thinking a rookie first game on the road against the only 5-0, well, I guess at that point 4-0 team in the league,
yeah.
and he's moving the offense just as well as your starter is at the top of his game. How do you go
Yeah.
back to the other guy?
You can't,
I know
man.
now they're
You
saying
can't.
he has the knee, what is it? The knee sprain,
Yeah.
but
Well, here's the thing. This is the worst case scenario. You got Jimmy coming back off the injury going into the bye week. You got Trey banged up. No telling. Knee stuff like that, man. That stuff lingers, so you never know. But like we talked about, you can't take it back from a rookie. Just kind of got to give it to him and go. And if they have any hopes of making the playoffs, it does hinge on Trey. Listen, if this team was 100% healthy, if the defense didn't have as many holes in the secondary as they did, they didn't have a first-year play caller, defensive coordinator. If they didn't have these injuries they're dealing with right now, then maybe you do put Jimmy in there and you don't play mistake. You do play mistake-free football, but not right now. You need a guy who's going to carry you to a win. The way it sets up, looking at the schedule, you got the bye, then you got the Colts and the Bears. There's not really a better scenario to put them in now.
this is the time.
You're hitting the easiest part of the schedule in your whole season. The Jaguars are coming up in a couple of weeks too. And then, right after the Colts and the Bears, you got a return game against the Cardinals. You're getting them at home this time. Maybe Trey's a little bit better, but you got to experience the highs and the lows with this guy
I
and
agree.
just ride with them. Like I said, if this team was a championship caliber roster, top to bottom, then hey, maybe you do ride with Jimmy. But right now, with the bugs we got,
It was in 2019, and they fell short largely because of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, they did, man. They did. You and I have talked about this ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Right now, you need a quarterback who's going to get you to the promised land, not a team that's going to carry a quarterback to it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I have been a Jimmy Garoppolo supporter since the moment he got here, and I've wanted him to succeed. But the track record shows, and I know everybody says they win with him, but that's because, that's largely because, and I would also say the backup quarterbacks they had weren't serviceable quarterbacks. So, the drop off is so significant that I think that's a large reason why they stink without him. You got to, if you have a horrible quarterback back there, Nick Mullins, then you're not going to win.
So here's my thing. During the off season, and I'll say we because I don't care about making media distinguishing remarks or whatever. If we get to that point, we'll burn that bridge then. But the 49ers looked at in this order during the offseason: Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, then Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Would any of those three guys sit on the bench behind Jimmy Garoppolo? No. Would Jimmy Garoppolo been on the team? No. Why in the H is Trey Lance not starting? Because you traded the assets, the same assets you would have traded to get one of those three guys, arguably, or similar, to get this guy. So why aren't you playing him? You're saying the quarterback position's holding you back. You've got a quarterback who changes the whole dynamic of your offense and changes the whole dynamic of the game, as we saw this past week. It's time to play him. let the chips fall where they may. If you don't think it's a Super Bowl caliber team with Trey Lance under center, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not with Jimmy Garoppolo either. At least
Totally agree.
Trey Lance settles in and
Mhm.
maybe gets you to a wild card berth this year. Or goes on some sort of a run. But Jimmy's not going to find lightning in a bottle after being in the league for almost 9 years.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And if you're not a Super Bowl contender, if neither of these guys are going to get you there, then ride with the young guy. When you traded 3 first-round picks for him, you have to do that. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. But
No, it
yeah.
doesn't, man. The one thing I'll mention about the Cardinals, though, it's pretty interesting. They've not been undefeated, but they've had very similar starts the last 2 years. So it'll be interesting to see if they can sustain it. I believe they fell off after their bye week both times in the last 2 years. So neither
I'm
one of them
interested too. I actually still
made
don't
the
buy them as
playoffs.
a juggernaut, in my opinion.
No.
But they're better than I thought.
No, they're better than I thought. I think the performance Sunday was more indicative of their ceiling compared to our floor. I don't think our defense is as good as holding allegedly this high-powered offense to 17 points. I think it's more so Trey Lance kept the offense in the game, and they were able to take advantage of Cardinal mistakes. But yeah, I'm not so sure the Cardinals have this division locked up. I could definitely see them falling apart. They've got enough holes on the team for it to.
They should have lost against Minnesota. They got lucky there.
Well,
And they were in a
should have lost against
dogfight with
Minnesota.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, they should have lost against Minnesota, Jacksonville, and on Sunday. So
we'll see how it
But
goes.
just to reiterate the point, though, if Jimmy Garoppolo starts another game and Trey Lance is healthy, that's malpractice, man. That's a fireable offense. I don't think the seat for Shanny's getting hot at all by any means, but his play calling this year has regressed. His time management has regressed, and the colossal screw up of this quarterback situation. If there is any scenario in which he starts a healthy, or if he starts Jimmy Garoppolo over a healthy Trey Lance, that's a fireable offense to me, man.
Oh, I understand. Again, I wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to succeed, but he should not start another game for the San Francisco 49ers, barring injury.
The mistake they made was keeping him after they drafted his successor. Can't do that. You can't do it. You think back to Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Think of the toxic environment it created for everybody involved. Neither one of those teams won championships. It's malpractice, especially Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre are Hall of Famers. Jimmy Garoppolo is not, even with a Super Bowl ring, he's not a Hall of Famer. So the biggest issue was not dumping Jimmy as soon as you decided on a quarterback and then signing a quality backup in free agency. It's the biggest mistake they've made.
I would much rather Trey Lance starting all 17 games this year, but we'll see. They got the bye week, and then they got Indianapolis and Chicago, 2 games that they should be favored in.
Won't it be interesting? Matt Nagy, behind Urban Meyer, is the worst coach in the NFL, probably in my mind. The worst head coach has committed to starting his rookie quarterback. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Bears start Justin Fields and the 49ers start Jimmy Garoppolo in that game? That is very indicative. I don't think Matt Nagy is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan. But man, if you're going to let Nagy beat you to the punch with a guy who's not near as NFL ready as Trey Lance, I don't know.
That'd be rough. But hey, we'll see. Obviously, we're hoping to see Trey Lance out there, but either way, what we're rooting for the most is 49ers wins, of course. But now I'm thinking long term, especially. So it'll be interesting. Even though they're 2-3, I don't think they're out of this at all. We don't know what the Cardinals will do, and they have a couple games that they should win soon, so they should be back in the hunt. But next week, they got the bye week. We won't have a game to review, so we will have new guests, and we'll be doing something different and interesting. So we're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it.
But Josh, to conclude this thing, what's your fact of the week for me, man?
Well, when I was searching for my facts of the week, I had to make a pit stop at Walgreens, and turns out they had a BOGO. As the kids call it, a buy one get one. So we got 2 for you this week, a little twofer. Number one, Captain Crunch. His full name is Captain Horatio Magellan Crunch. So that really percolated my senses. And then the other one, a little bit on a lighter note, are you familiar with Edgar Allan Poe, famous poet?
Of course.
Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens, they're actually named after him. His poem, The Raven. Edgar Allan Poe married his 13-year-old cousin. So
I actually, shockingly, for some reason, was aware of that.
Yeah, so Captain Crunch is apparently a fraud, and Edgar Allan Poe is a pervert. So what does that say about the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I don't know. For basing both of their teams after these guys, it's a tough look. We'll leave it at that. We are I'm going to come out right now, Steve. We are an anti-Poe podcast.
Yeah.
We are an anti-Poe.
I second
that.
I wish that didn't happen. Oh God! All right, guys. Well, I think that's all we got. That's a good way to end it. By the way, real quick, I like that you before the perverse child molesting thing, you opened it with on a lighter note. That was pretty interesting to me. But I was gonna let you know I'm considering signing up for a dating site. My username will be Little Kid Lover, so they know where my priorities are at. That's a Michael Scott quote, by the way, everyone. I'm not a pervert, and I'm actually married. Just to clear that up. So
he's not married to his 13-year-old cousin.
No. She's not 13 yet.
Pretty dark, pretty quick, just like the 49ers playoff hopes.
That is true. All right. On that note, this has been the 49-Yard Dash podcast, hosted by myself and Josh. I think my internet is acting up as we speak. That's what Josh is laughing about. So, good time to end it. We will see you all next week with a few new guests and some fun activities. So, peace out, everybody.